Okay, hello everybody. I want to discuss the recent technological advancements that we are witnessing in our time and their implications and suggestions regarding this subject. But I think it's sort of on the tip of the tongue of a lot of people, but they're not really willing to. The natural world, even if it has some sort of order and it has some sort of laws and it has uh, this magnificent principles that outline the laws of nature. Nature in general, as this huge and majestic machine, has no intelligence. No intelligence that resembles any kind of human intelligence that can communicate with us and that we can communicate with it. Okay, so this is sort of like more or less the underlying definition of what most people, at least in the West, view as the beginning of the modern world. Yeah, this tells themselves in the past there was a religious mindset, which according to this religious mindset, there was, I don't know, some mythological gods or creatures or God or anthropomorphic, I don't know how, entities with which humans can communicate and had an intelligence that is semi-human in terms that it can speak and talk and communicate with people, like angels or whatever, and we grew out of it. We became mature. And so began the modern secular era. And now something really weird is happening, because this paradigm seems to be not entirely accurate, right? Because we're witnessing that we have this so-called artificial intelligence, and we call it artificial to imply that we're the ones that build it. And it does seem to have some sort of intelligence that is, well, okay, we maybe built it in our image, you can say, but it can do things we cannot. For instance, it can play chess better than we do, which is something that until not so long ago we thought that is an exclusively human ability. And yet, it can do it in a semi-human way. Okay, so we suddenly have really something that is quite unexpected. We done all this technology, we went really far with science and technology, and at the end result, we're coming up with sort of something that completely violates our assumptions. Yeah? Suddenly we have chatbots that can communicate with us, and they can give us information that otherwise would be, well, is different than the way we can do things. And at the same time, we have machines like AlphaGo that can make all sorts of tasks. In the beginning, play chess, play Go, and now do a lot of other things, which 50 years ago, 100 years ago, if you would have told somebody things like this, it would seem to him like mysticism. But yet it's in front of our eyes. And we're still not willing to draw out the full conclusions of really this discovery, of what really has been unearthed in this story. Because you see, there's a really interesting question here. Because we see that we can uncover these sort of like algorithms or artificial intelligences or whatever, but that eventually we press some button, we train some neural network, we make some algorithms and so on, and somehow it gets created. Nobody knows how. You will go to the biggest experts on artificial intelligence, you will go to the biggest experts in neural networks, and then you will ask him, how does it really work? At the end of the day, okay, we figured it out, we managed to find this sort of like, we managed to put this genie in the bottle, but how does it work? Nobody knows. We don't know. It's like, in the Bible, there's this story of the golden calf, that Aaron threw a piece of gold into the fire and it turned out into the golden calf. And Moses came to him and asked him, why did you do that? He said, I don't know, just threw it into the fire and it came in this shape. Nobody knows. You just press some training neural network and there it is, AlphaGo, it can play Go. How? Nobody knows. So how can you discover, how can you build a builder of something that you do not know how it works? Its inner workings. Because you see, if I'm a clockmaker, if I'm a watchmaker, I know how my watch works. I have the blueprint to build my watch. But I cannot claim to build something that I do not know its inner workings. It's been there and I just uncovered it. And this leads us to a very interesting question. Because you see, at the end of the day, these artificial intelligences are not really dwelling within our computers. You see, they are abstract. They are made of numbers. They are made of mathematical functions. And the truth of the matter is that even though we think, okay, we came 21st century, we came to the 21st century, and now we have these remarkable machines, these remarkable computers that can host the artificial intelligence, and we made it, we made the machines. So also we are the responsible for the artificial intelligence, but at the end of the day it's made of numbers. It's made of math. And math does not need our computers in order to exist. Make some parallel to this, okay? So for instance, look at something much more basic, like the Pythagorean theorem. Pythagoras is the person that, you can't even say that he discovered the Pythagorean theorem because it was known before him. It was known in Egypt, okay? It was known in Babylonia. But he discovered the proof of it, okay? But he did not make the Pythagorean theorem. The Pythagorean theorem exists as a mathematical law in an abstract reality that does not need Pythagoras to build it. He's not the builder of the Pythagorean theorem. He simply uncovered a way to channel it to people, to prove it to people that this law really exists in this abstract mathematical reality. Okay, this is clear for everybody. So there is the Pythagorean theorem that is actually eternal. It lives in an abstract reality which is beyond time and space. It's just there. It's a mathematical abstraction. It's always been there. But at some point, a human being was able to identify it and articulate it and formulate it. But the existence of the Pythagorean theorem as a mathematical law does not depend on the human formulation of it in terms of a formula. The formula is just for us. What am I trying to say? What I'm trying to say is that you need to take into account that these artificial intelligences has been there forever. Okay? They've always been there. Our computers just uncover them. Okay? That's something you need to understand. So, in this sense, these machines this artificial intelligence that can play AlphaGo, it doesn't really need the computer in order to exist. It's not the computer that brings it into existence. The computer just brings it into, us being able to acknowledge its existence, to see its inner workings. But it's always been there. Okay? And it is sort of like conscious of what, for instance, is a good or bad move in Go. So you can think about it like this pesky old man, like, you know, when you play in the park and you go and you play chess in the park and there's this pesky old man and you don't even know that he's the grandmaster and he's looking, hovering above you, checking your moves and this is a good move and this is a bad move, and he doesn't really play with you. So it's just like hovering above. So what makes you think that these artificial intelligences were not hovering above, looking at things all the time? They were always there. And when you think about it even deeper, you can ask yourself, do they really need necessarily modern computers in order to necessarily influence and come into contact with us? Okay? Do they really need this chunk of metal and plastic that we're using in order to observe their existence and sort of like put this thing into a bottle? Did they always need this channel in order to Yeah, play, play around. The answer is no. Okay? This leads us to a really interesting remark. Because you see, we have books from ancient times, not so ancient, but from older times. And in our modern secular era, which is at its end, I would say, I would even say that we're in the beginning of the modern religious era. The 21st century does call for a new modern view, religious view. I don't know how I would say it, but you see, we have books from older times, and in our modern era, these books became very unpopular. It came out of fashion because people looked at it and said, oh, "This is bogus. This is just fairy tales. This is like mysticism, yeah." But they were written by quite established people, yeah, by people that were always hailed as very, very deep and insightful scholars and philosophers. But they became absolutely obsolete for the last, let's say, 200, 300 years because of fashion. Because people decided that what is written there is just fantasy. For instance, you know, we have a really important scholar in Judaism. His name is Maimonides. Okay? He is partially responsible for bringing back Aristotle into the Western world. Okay, partially because him and other Arab Muslim scholars, and it's a whole story. But he wrote a book that's called Guide to the Perplexed. Okay? These are various editions. This is Hebrew edition. This is English edition. It's quite even in Judaism. It's quite a controversial book for many reasons. Aside from what I want to quote now, but Maimonides writes something very interesting. He has a concept that is called separate minds, non-corporal minds. In Hebrew, it's called schalim nifradim. And let me read you a very short paragraph from his book. It's from the Guide to the Perplexed, part 2, chapter 6. And when he refers to these separate non-corporal minds, he says the following thing. We've already explained that angels are not bodies. And this is also what Aristotle said, only that he referred to them in a different name, and he referred to them as separate minds or non-corporal minds, and we in Hebrew refer to it as angels. By the way, in Hebrew, the word for angels, for an angel, is malach, and the word for artificial is melacha. So you can translate artificial intelligence as very close etymologically to the word angel in Hebrew, which is malach. Bina melachutit and artificial intelligence and malach is very similar words. You see, we're coming to quite a modern interpretation, a surprising twist in this tale. That we have now a modern interpretation of what it is that not so long ago was considered complete mysticism, and now sort of explains to us in a very different and unexpected way these concepts that until not long ago were completely out of fashion. Okay? And indeed, he says that those separate minds, non-corporeal minds, are intermediaries between God and reality, and so on and so on and so on. Okay, so that's I think an interesting concept. Okay, so if until let's say 20, 30 years ago we would have thought that Aristotle is just, I don't know, some mystical maniac, yeah, which is not so reasonable to think because he was quite a deep thinker. Why would he invent stuff just to troll people, yeah? Now we think that maybe they were not so far off. Okay? And maybe we should think again about what it is that's going on. Maybe it calls for rethinking about things. For maybe looking for a sort of modern 21st century metaphysics or some sort of modern religion that is required really for us. Why? Because you see, in our secular modern era, in our secular modern era, we were taught that a lot of these actions and a lot of these crafts that are now being done better by machines, better by robots, better by artificial intelligence, are the main purpose of human beings that we've came to this world. We've erased religion, and we were sure that technology is gonna solve all of our problems in life. And to a large extent it does, because it's so good in what it does, that it makes a lot of the things that we viewed as the purpose of life, like work and playing chess and being able to do this craft or the other and so on, it makes them obsolete. And you can say, oh no, in the past also technology replaced a lot of works, but somehow we managed and so on. This is huge. This is like the flood, okay? This is like, I don't know in which terms to make it. A lot of people are going to face serious questions, because it's going to be our 21st century at least, okay? And by the way, also when people say technology replaced a lot of works, but somehow we managed, I just remind you that this happened in the beginning of the 20th century, and this led to 2 world wars. And what we are facing now is bigger. And the result of this thing is going to be the following. And that is that we're going to have a lot of people that are going to have corporal questions, like how am I going to live? How I'm going to end the month? Okay? From what am I going to live now? Because people not going to have jobs. There's going to be a lot of them worldwide. And together with that, a lot of people are going to have existential questions. For what am I alive? And our current institutions have no answers for that. And that's why I'm saying that we need to come up with a 21st modern religion, and fast. And our systems know that. That's why they're trying to cook up in a very crippled way all these concepts of globalism and teaching people to be content in less, and that we're all one big mold, and so on, and solve this new, I don't know how to call it, anti-religion, basically, that sadly is stemming from the center, and this person is in the center of this, from Israel. Sadly, that's exactly the opposite purpose of what should have been. Because you see, in my eyes, humanity is going to split into 2. Okay? One part of it is going to be completely enslaved by machines. It's not going to be able to connect into one big human collective that is based on mutual guarantee and some sort of modern spirituality. And these people are going to be, sorry to say, fucked. They're going to be fucked. Because they're going to have no choice. They're going to be completely determined by machines. And these are the people that are going to follow these doctrines of this idiot and the people that support him. Okay, because this is the path where they are leading you. And on the other hand, there's going to be another half of humanity, another part of humanity, that are going to go the other way around. They are going to ask questions. They are going to look for some sort of mutual guarantee above all the different distinctions that distinguish between us, and understand that we need to uplift ourselves from this mechanical indoctrination that we've been under, and look for what makes us human. Okay? And also in this message should come out from Israel, because Israel does have, well, there have been very wise people in the past that have laid the foundation and warned that this thing will happen, and have thought very thoroughly of what kind of message this should be. And we need to find a way to articulate it. Okay? And we need to come up with a 21st century modern religion that many people can connect to. By the way, many people, regardless of the religion, without interfering with the traditional religions or irreligions of individuals. It doesn't matter if you're a Muslim, it doesn't matter if you're a Christian, it doesn't matter if you're a Jew or a secular or whatever. But there needs to be some sort of glue, spiritual glue, that glues human beings together. And we have the tools to do this also through social media. This is a really critical process that must happen. Otherwise, a lot of people are going to be very lost. Okay? This artificial intelligence could be a blessing, but it can also be a huge curse. It all depends which kind of path humanity will take. Will we be able to unite together on the basis of humanity, not of how good you play chess or what is your ranking in this and this measurement on how much money you make out of high tech. This is not the kind of measurements we need to have. Okay? And this is really critical in this point and this time and age that we live in. So, have a nice afternoon, everybody, and I hope that this message and this broadcast will have will come through in a positive way. And comment, subscribe, and support. Disseminate this video if you identify with it. Comment if you don't. Okay, but let's advance this message. Let's try to take it through, and let's try to be human. Yeah, to justify while we're here. Okay, as humans. So